Welcome to another NESN Soccer Show. I'm Mark, you're Marcus, and this, Marcus, is the Neymar special extravaganza.
Yes. Live.
Transfer, PSG, no more in Barcelona. We sort of just got official word via Twitter from PSG. They tweeted out they got Neymar in the jersey and everything. So very exciting. The past, you're going to go back to when the rumors started, but I would say even the past 24 hours have been crazy.
Right.
Nobody really knew what to believe. People are wondering where the money is coming from. A lot of questions there. Messi bidding farewell on social media and other Barcelona players. Fans certainly making their voices known.
Yep, jerseys burned.
Yeah.
Neymar's picture taken off of advertising materials in real time. I'm excited about this one because I was hoping we wouldn't have to do this under the assumption that maybe there's a chance this wouldn't happen. But it's now. We just saw the tweet.
Yeah, it's official.
I think it came out 15 minutes ago. It's official. So, this is the
Perfect
Neymar to PSG live reaction show. Let's go.
It's awesome. So just to give a little bit of context, Neymar played for Barcelona from 2013 to 2017.
Yep.
123 matches, 68 goals. So it's not that's a long time, but it's not like he was there for, it's not like he was Totti or Wayne Rooney on Manchester United.
Or a guy named Messi.
But the amount of attention that this deal has drawn is crazy. And Neymar's worth it, don't get me wrong, he's an incredible player. But at a certain point, I started to get surprised. Just wow, they're this is not stopping.
Yeah.
People are going crazy about this. What do you think about just all the attention in general?
Why is this so? One, it's the money.
Yeah.
222 million, more than doubles the previous transfer record, which was set last year when Paul Pogba went to Manchester United. One. Two, it's Barcelona being maybe the great team of the last 6 or 7 years. This is, I'm not calling it the end of an era yet, but it signals a power shift.
Slight downturn for sure.
Yeah, Barcelona's beautiful cycle, which started, did I say 2011? 2009, actually.
Yeah.
Which started a long time ago, is one step closer to the end. Last year, they finished in the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the first time in, I think it was 7 years that they didn't make at least the semifinals. So we were wondering what's going to happen there. Are they getting better? Are they getting worse? Well, losing Neymar, who was arguably their second best player, maybe their third best player, will not make Barcelona better. Period.
You bring up their Champions League exit. To get to that round, they had to have an incredible comeback against PSG that everybody saw. One of the greatest games in Champions League history, you could say. But it sort of brings me to the question, why did Neymar want to leave Barcelona? And we go back to that game, and there's a little something that happened there that you think it's more of a rumor, a theory.
Yeah.
But it sort of makes sense.
We're going to deal with a lot of theories on this episode because Neymar hasn't been talking about this.
Yeah.
His father hasn't been talking about this. Nobody's been talking about it, but so much has been reported. This has been one of the most widely reported soccer stories I've ever seen. But I guess the main thing is that he wanted to step outside of Messi's shadow and become the main man.
It's understandable.
Have the team built around him, have the style of play fit him. He probably wants to play centrally. He's been playing on the left since he got to Barcelona, plays in the middle for Brazil. He wants to be the main man. He wants to be paid like the main man.
Right.
And he wants to win the Ballon d'Or, which is hard to do when you're playing with Lionel Messi.
Yeah, he's a world-class talent, obviously, but playing with Messi and then also in La Liga playing second fiddle to sort of Messi and Ronaldo.
Right.
It's just they are at this level that he can't really break into unless he's on a different team. And he's at that next level. He's right there, right at the ceiling. He's just trying to burst through it.
And he's at the age. He's 25, where he's entering his prime years. He's got, boy, he played over 200 games before, first team games before he left Brazil. Then he played 4 years with FC Barcelona at the top of La Liga and the Champions League. So he's prepared to reach his potential, to fulfill his potential.
Yeah.
Could he have done it at Barcelona? I guess that's really the million-dollar question.
You could see a situation where Messi sort of declines slightly as Neymar is ascending sort of rapidly, entering the prime years, like you said.
And Luis Suarez as well.
But it's hard to just, because Messi has just built such a fan appreciation that, like, to top it, it's the Messi era.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on in Barcelona. And even as good as Suarez is and the rest of the teammates, they're part of the Messi era.
I don't think Neymar could have done anything at Barcelona to become more beloved than Lionel Messi at Barcelona.
So that puts a lot of pressure on him to be the guy. I mean, PSG is trying to win the Champions League.
Yes.
That's the goal. And that's enormous pressure coming from PSG and over in Qatar. So a lot of money being invested.
Yes.
We'll get to that a little later, but we should say that this by no means, it seems like Neymar with his teammates left on extremely good and friendly terms. And as much as we've mentioned Messi and how Neymar wanted to step out of his shadow, I mean, we saw their appreciation for each other on social media. So there's no real hard feelings. Even Barcelona as a club doesn't, like, they sort of like gave up, and they like more or less seem to understand why Neymar is doing this. Maybe.
I would say Messi and Neymar are on good terms. One thing that has struck me is the silence that has come from the rest of the Barcelona squad. Neymar has been fairly popular, fairly well loved since he's been there. There were never really any, never reports of blow-ups between him and his teammates, at least before a week or so ago. Messi and Suarez were the only ones so far. You know, it's now 15 minutes or 30 minutes after the move has been made official. Those are the only two that have put out public goodbyes on Instagram.
Do we think
that's kind of strange?
Maybe it's just like, well, if Messi has done it, he sort of speaks for most of the players, or, I mean, everybody probably has an account of some kind, so they could do it.
Yeah, I would expect more than two players to wish Neymar farewell. There were reports coming out of Spain a few days ago, let's say a few days prior to the transfer, that Neymar's teammates were so upset with him that they basically snubbed him.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how. I know amongst Barcelona fans, they're really unhappy about this.
Yeah.
There have been videos of, which is now a ritual, the jersey burnings. There have been posters put up around Camp Nou, the stadium, calling it with Neymar's face as a traitor and things like that.
Just to be expected.
Yeah, this isn't, you know, maybe Messi's happy with him, but we don't know. It's tough to gauge, at least right now. I think it'll be worth following to see who says what on what social media platform to Neymar, because right now it's just Messi and Suarez, and there are at least 9 other starters on that team that have played with him.
Okay, well, before we sort of move on to the logistics of the deal and what another aspect that makes this so interesting, Neymar, how much do you think Messi contributed to Neymar being as successful as he was at Barcelona? Or do you think that, because there were stretches of time where Neymar was without Messi, Messi was injured, and then with the Brazilian team, he's had plenty of success. So, do you think he will, just on the field, pick up right where he left off and be a scoring and assist machine? Or does he need to have the firepower along with him to really produce?
Messi or Neymar?
Neymar.
Neymar will do fine in PSG. He'll be a monster in Paris. I don't think Neymar. Not a lot of players have tried to play with Lionel Messi, and I'm talking about young players that have come out of Barcelona's academy. You know, their fabled academy, La Masia. A number of them have come in and tried to be Messi's foil and his sidekick, and it hasn't worked out. for any of them. Neymar is the only one that's a player that's younger than Messi that has been able to come in, play with him, and stick. So he has to have this supreme level of natural talent, but also the confidence to play with somebody that's been known as the greatest player in the world.
Right.
Because other teams in Europe are littered with former Barcelona players that are now between the ages of about 23 and 27, and it just never really, they weren't able to work out for it. I don't think playing with Messi made Neymar a worse player by any means.
Yeah.
Maybe his stats might be better if he didn't have to share the wealth with Messi, but yeah, playing with legends doesn't make you worse. And I think this is just a matter of him trying to strike out on his own and make his own legacy.
All right, so I think a lot of, and this is a question I think comes up at least a lot in the States whenever there's big transfers, is how exactly does it work when a player goes between countries? There's different currency being used, but this one gets really next level.
Yeah.
How was PSG able to pull off this deal? And La Liga is accusing them of basically cheating, not using fair financial means to purchase Neymar and buy out his contract. But you have some more details on this. So why don't you dive into it a little bit?
This is, it's still very murky right now.
Right.
Here's what we know. Neymar produced, let's call it a check, for 222 million euros.
It's a lot of money.
At the, which was the value of his buyout clause.
Yeah.
In full, straight up.
Cash. Straight cash.
Straight cash. La Liga rejected it.
Yeah.
On ground, La Liga usually accepts the cash and then hands it over to the buying club, and that's it.
Right, and the player is free.
They said no. Because reportedly, they didn't know where the money came from. How does Neymar get 222 million? Well, it's supposed to come from the selling club, from the buying club, sorry. PSG claims it came from them.
Well, it sort of did.
Yes. PSG is owned by Qatar Sports Investments, which is an arm of the Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund. It's Qatar's government that owns PSG. They have all the natural gas and oil money in the world.
They're wealthy. They bought a World Cup.
They're very rich. They bid in one. Yes, they bid for and won a World Cup.
Yeah.
It has been reported in Spanish newspapers and Qatari newspapers that Neymar has an ambassadorial deal to be the face of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, worth 300 million euros. He takes that 300, pays 222 to Barcelona, and pockets the other 78. That's his.
That's a good payday.
You know, is that a signing bonus? Is that just a special bonus? Who knows? This has been reported in a couple of papers. Now, PSG denies this, but it's out there. It's been reported. So
it adds up for me.
La Liga,
I believe every second of it.
Right. La Liga rejected this, saying the origins of this money were not from PSG's soccer-related activities, not from their ticket sales, sponsorships, player sales.
Did they offer any sort of explanation for where the money came from?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
You know, PSG has a lot of money, but they claim that their sponsorships are worth this much, and you know, I'm not an accountant. I'm better with words than numbers. Neymar produced $222 million to buy himself out of his contract, which is standard in Spanish soccer that the player does it himself.
Yeah.
But you know, he's made a lot of money, but he's only 25. Well, you know, he's been professional for about 8-9 years. He hasn't made that much money. So they want to know where this 222 comes from. La Liga says it's a violation of UEFA's financial fair play rules, which say you can't lose more than 30 million over a 3-year period. So La Liga rejected it on grounds that it's a violation, and they don't know where the money comes from.
Right.
The problem is we won't know that whether it's a violation or not until at least this time next year, when the accounts for this summer
So
come
what
in.
would happen if it were a violation?
They could sanction PSG. PSG is already.
But Neymar would still be on.
He would be there, yes, but
then they might be
theoretically PSG could be kicked out of the Champions League. They could be
put down to league.
Other teams
League Two?
not relegated domestically. This is a European rule, so it would apply to
So
Champions League. Manchester City was sanctioned a couple seasons ago, where they will only be allowed to register 22 players for the Champions League, or 23, where every other team can register 25. Things like that. So we don't really know how. I get the sense that a lot of it is being made up as it goes along.
Yeah.
In terms of financial fair play.
It's tough to like clear everything out. Like a lot of things that come out of Qatar, it's tough to make sense of everything that's actually happening.
Do I believe that Neymar has this marketing deal?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
But you know, I mean, a marketing for a World Cup is a very difficult job to fulfill.
Yes.
It should be high paying. He earned every penny.
Yeah, and he will be expected to win that World Cup and be the public face of that World Cup. And you know, he'll be around 29 at the time, maybe 30. Mm-hmm. So he'll be at the peak of his powers, and it'll be the Neymar World Cup. It might be his corporate sponsorship.
Well, it's so that's, I think, a big component of this story just sort of taking off as much as it has, because it's like it's such a big name, it's a big club. Barcelona is a gigantic club, and they've been in the thick of like the world of soccer for so long. Like ever since Neymar's been there, like he's been sort of at the center of attention, like right next to Messi. And for this deal to come together the way it did is just, it's kind of a gold mine for people like us, I guess.
Yeah, it's and that's part of why it's such a big. I've never seen a transfer be so widely reported and closely followed in the United States.
Yeah.
This is truly something else, and I can't just put it down to the money. There are also geopolitical implications, where Qatar is being blockaded by its neighbors in the Arab Gulf.
Right. Yeah, I read into that a little bit.
This is, it's kind of a shot saying we are still powerful. We are still we're still players in this thing. Qatar and Barcelona also have been, let's call it a falling out. They won't sponsor their shirts anymore. Barcelona has a new jersey sponsor, Rakuten, which is a company that I don't know what they do, but Qatar Airways had sponsored Barcelona's jerseys all these years.
That's a shame, because that Barcelona Qatar Airways commercial, I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yes, when it was like Barcelona Land or something.
Yeah, it was a great commercial.
It was fantastic. But the club in the Qatar Airways they're not as close as they once were.
Right. All right. Well, here, just sort of bluntly, do you think it's fair that this transfer went through?
If it went through the way it did?
Yeah.
Which is basically Qatar funding this transfer? No. Not at all.
Okay.
Not fair under the current rules, but it does signal a change, and that is for 100 years in soccer, the power centered in Europe in terms of finance and wealth. And players from all around the world have been, taken in that direction, because that's just the way the money went and where the power was. It was the rich getting richer, the fat getting fatter. This is a sea change.
I sort of agree with you, where on paper it seems like blatantly unfair.
Yeah.
But
according to the current rules.
Right, but PSG is obviously a huge club, but for them to be able to sort of pull this off and sort of get away with it, or whatever you want to say about it, is kind of like, all right, now let's see if Neymar can actually take PSG to the promised land.
Can do it, yeah.
And who cares how they got together, sort of thing.
Yeah, and that'll be, you still have to put the right team together.
Right,
they
still got to play the game,
get along,
win.
and right.
Yeah,
they have to be focused and determined. But, you know, the rules have been in place for all these years, but somebody wrote these rules at the beginning, and it wasn't the Qataris.
So sort of right now, and we talked about briefly how Barcelona has gotten worse as a result of this deal, clearly.
Sure.
And I think if you sort of just go back to last year's, the 2016-17 Champions League, the knockout round of 16s,
Yeah,
you
the
suddenly
6-1.
like you suddenly instantly bounce Barcelona out round of 16 and PSG into the quarterfinal just with this one player switching sides.
Yeah.
Not that they're going to meet again in the knockout rounds or anything, but it's just sort of telling that, yeah, if Neymar had been on PSG, the result would not have been the same.
And that's the thing. There was this, you know, the picture of Lionel Messi standing in the stands. A couple articles were out yesterday saying that that was the moment Neymar decided he needed to step outside, because Barcelona scored 3 goals in the last, 5 minutes of that game or 6 minutes.
Something like that.
Neymar scored 1 off a direct free kick, 1 off a penalty, and he assisted on Sergi Roberto's goal.
Yeah.
And the one picture everybody saw was Lionel Messi
Right.
doing that.
It's tough. No winning.
Yeah. I was thinking about this last night. Those PSG players on another day, they don't lose 6-1 to Barcelona.
Yeah.
And they go through anyway. So even if Neymar is still on that team, this PSG team won't fear Barcelona in the way other teams will.
Right.
Take Neymar off that Barcelona team, put them on PSG. This PSG team will feel like they are the favorites.
Yeah.
Should they match up against Barcelona?
He is that kind of guy
and
where
I hope they match up.
That'd be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be great. It can happen. I mean,
hopefully UEFA can sort that out somehow.
Yeah, that's something that they would do.
Wink, wink.
But, okay, so we're talking about how much Barcelona loses out here. But you know what? They just got a 222 million euro check just right on their desk. What are they going to do with it?
Try and replace Neymar.
Yeah, tough to do.
If they try and do it with one player, it will not work.
Right.
First off, there are names being floated about. Juventus's Paulo Dybala.
Yeah.
He's about a 24-year-old Argentinian forward. Very good, excellent. He was played at Gillette Stadium against Roma the other day and had the best dribble move of the game, whatever that's worth. Liverpool's Philippe Coutinho is close with Neymar. I think Barcelona had made a bid or two recently, and Liverpool knocked it back. Categorically said he is not for sale, Coutinho. He doesn't play that position the same way as Neymar. In the front three on the left, I wouldn't see him fitting in tactically the same way. And he's also close friends with Neymar, and I thought the only reason they were going after him was to get another one of Neymar's friends onto the team. He's Brazilian. They've known each other since they were kids. I can't see that happening. I can't see Juventus parting ways with Dybala. Another name that's been put out there, Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid.
Good player.
Tactically, stylistically, I think he's the best fit.
Yeah.
I don't think Atletico Madrid would sell him.
Right.
Especially to Barcelona.
Yeah.
He probably has a release clause of some sort, but I see Griezmann as so identified with Atletico Madrid, it's hard to get him out. The fourth one is Ousmane Dembélé, who is a 20-year-old French winger who plays at Borussia Dortmund. Last season was kind of his first in the spotlight in the Champions League, and he was fantastic. Had about 20 assists, really creative, good crosser of the ball, not a goal scorer like Neymar. He's also very young. And, how do you step on the field with a 30-year-old Lionel Messi, 31, 32-year-old Luis Suarez?
Well, that's the thing. Like you were saying, it's tough. But you have to find the guy that is confident enough to do that.
Yeah.
And he may not be as gifted as Messi, but you can still have the mindset that you're capable of playing with that.
Right. Now, I don't know if he has that.
Yeah.
I don't know if... I would say Griezmann probably has it, just having played at the top for so long. Dybala, maybe he has it.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't. Coutinho, maybe he has it, maybe he doesn't. But I don't know how. Barcelona's not going to change their playing style. They're not going to change their formation and their tactics now that Messi's gone. Now that Neymar is gone.
Yeah.
Barcelona will try and find somebody to play that left-sided forward role to provide goals and assists. Neymar was the only player in Europe last year that was 20-20.
Yeah.
20 goals, 20 assists. I don't know who they can find that can do that like Neymar.
So, all right. So,
but they can afford whoever they want to try.
Yeah, and that's like you can bring in whoever you want. It's just you have to find who fits.
But it's almost a losing battle, because once you sign somebody, they get tagged as Neymar's replacement. I don't think you can replace Neymar right now with a player that we know about.
All right, so I don't think we can predict the final table right at this moment, but PSG finished second in the French league last year. Barcelona finished second in La Liga.
I believe so, yes, to Real Madrid.
Real Madrid still very good.
Mm-hmm.
PSG, you would think, would leapfrog Monaco to win the French league.
Yes.
But in La Liga, when we think about, I think when on a world stage, when you think about La Liga, you think about Real Madrid and Barcelona. Do we think that Real Madrid just clearly has the upper hand on that rivalry right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2
straight Champions Leagues. Their biggest rival just got weaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're sitting pretty.
Yeah. Real Madrid has to be smiling today.
And so what kind of implications does this have, with the Champions League? We're going to have, all the big powers will be there like they always are.
Yeah.
But how much more can PSG advance just simply because they have Neymar on their squad now? Is that enough to push them into the final?
I'll pencil them into the semifinal.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think we got to wait and see. I don't know. I'm not convinced yet. Neymar's incredible, but there are some incredible teams out there. And Barcelona Neymar wasn't able to advance on Barcelona to the semifinal last year. So to think that PSG is going to be able to do it.
Well, he won the treble 2 years before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think PSG has, it's not just a sporting thing. It's also the prestige and the profile. The Messi and Ronaldo era will end one day.
Yeah.
And when it ends, La Liga can no longer say, we have the best players in the world.
No. If they had Neymar, they probably still could have been able to say that.
5 years from now, yes.
Yeah.
Now PSG will be able to do that, and they will say, "Hey, we have the guy, Neymar." I think Neymar was 3rd in Ballon d'Or voting last year, so he is the heir apparent. I was seeing some of the reaction in France. I think France's prime minister or president were saying, "Oh, this is great for France." Lille, the Lille Football Club, their chairman or general manager was saying, "This is great for the league, just in terms of viewers and profile. It's going to boost the value of their television rights."
How much bigger of a deal is it than like Zlatan going to be at PSG? It's bigger, but give me like a times 5.
Maybe not
10?
times 5. Off the field, times 2.
Times 2. Okay.
No. Times 5.
Times 5.
Off the field, yeah.
Yeah.
On the field, times 2.
Times 2.
Yeah. No, Neymar. When Time magazine put out their 100 most influential people list, Neymar was the only soccer player on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe he was the only one.
Yeah. Well, he represents something. He represents the post Ronaldo Messi era.
Yeah.
And now PSG has him.
That is just crazy.
And Qatar has him too.
Right. Oh man. Well, it's going to be an exciting season. PSG plays Saturday, their first match. Neymar will not be in it, but I'm sure he will be in attendance, and that will be the biggest deal of that game, no questions asked. Do you think he's going to play? What are you about to say?
He might play.
No way, he can't play.
He's a PSG player, and they're playing a team that I'm not going to sit here and try and pronounce. It's a team that they'll win. They'll run over him.
Right.
They don't need Neymar to be a 10 out of 10. He can be a 2 out of 10. But just his presence will be...
That would be incredible.
Yeah,
if just 2 days from now...
I think they're going to unveil him on Friday, tomorrow. And
maybe he subs on late in the game.
Yeah. Maybe there'll be atop the Eiffel Tower or something. It'll be,
I got to make sure I'm watching this match then.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I know.
Right? Now, if you'd asked yesterday, are you going to watch PSG's first match? Not a chance. Well, you and 300 million others are just like, well, yeah, I might tune in for this.
Gotta watch. I guess, yeah, there's the difference right there.
Yeah.
Completely natural moment.
Yeah.
All right, well, what other aspects of this Neymar transfer do you think we've missed? I don't even know how long we've been talking about it.
It's been about 30 minutes. Well,
all right.
This is the most important transfer. I've been doing this job for nearly 6 years.
Yeah.
And this is by far the biggest transfer. Not just in terms of dollar value, but in terms of attention and interest, and yeah, this is huge. This is the kind of thing that, you wake up, you check Twitter on your phone, and you rush to work because something might be happening with Neymar.
Right.
And that's what the last 2 weeks have been doing. It's, I'm checking to see if he's in Qatar or is he in Dubai, or it's been a big, this past week's been a big Where's Neymar festival. And, we're just trying to figure out, okay, he's here. What's he doing there? He said this. What does it mean? And, yeah, this is big.
Awesome. I can't wait for, I guess, the Champions League to start up. See who's in PSG's group, what group Barcelona's in, just everything to shake out.
Yeah.
I think the draw date is late September.
Yeah.
But
and just one final point is that I have a friend who supports PSG, and I asked him if he was happy about Neymar, and he was kind of like, well, I don't know if he'll really help. And I stopped him, and I said, listen, since 1950, there have been one or maybe two teams that when they want a player, they get a player. That is Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Barcelona sometimes in their history, but Real Madrid, any player in the world, if they want him, they go after him, and they get him. 2017, welcome to the club, PSG.
So yeah, I mean, it's just nuts. Do any other transfers matter?
No.
Not
like this.
A lot has happened in this transfer window, but
we won't spend 30 minutes on a single transfer again. I don't think so.
Well, I think that was some pretty solid reaction. Everybody out there listening, PSG's first match of the season, August 5th. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Any final words? I mean, you said you watched the MLS All-Star game last night. You want to mention that?
Yeah, it was cool.
Real Madrid won, right?
On penalty kicks.
On penalties, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
good showing by the MLS guys. They didn't lose by 5.
Yeah, that's always good.
But it wasn't the real Real Madrid.
Sure, of course not. Well, okay, so I guess we'll be back next week. Neymar does play. We'll talk about it.
Sure.
But I think we'll do maybe a little bit of a Premier League preview. Maybe.
Oh yes, we
bounce around some other European leagues. But yeah, we're getting into the season now. So the summer's finally over. We're done talking about Confederations Cup and Gold Cup. So it's all league and World Cup qualifiers. It's going to be great. Thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week.